Today I'm going to show you how to make B-M0 from Adventure Time. So B-M0 is a pretty simple character to make because he's pretty much a cube, but I'm going to show you how to make him and make all the little details for him as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first set up my project, and the easiest way to do that is I'm going to go to File, Set Project. I'm going to go and locate my B-M0 folder, so that's right there. And as you can see, I have 3 pictures set up. I have a picture of all the reference photos, and I have one that I made that just has the front and side view, because those are going to be very important. So just going into my folder, and without anything selected in that folder, I'm just going to go to Set, and then Create Default Workspace. What that does is Maya now knows that all the photos and everything I'm going to be working on is going to be in that folder, and it's just going to make things more organized and easier to work with. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit space. I'm going to switch my 4 views, and I'm going to start my front view. I'm going to go into view right here, image plane, import image. And as you can see, it automatically goes to my B-M0 folder. So since that was my front view, I'm just going to click on my front view photo. I'm going to hit open, and that should throw them in right there. Before I do anything else, I am going to move the photo so it roughly cuts them in half, going down the y-axis line, just like that. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my side view. So I'm going to go to View, Image Plane, Import Image. Here's my side view photo. I'm going to throw that in there as well. I'm going to move it so it's roughly going halfway through. If it's not perfect, that's okay. Now this is going to be a very important part. I'm going to go into my perspective view. I'm just going to zoom in a bit. And if we look at the top edge and bottom edge of B-M0, of his body, you can see that they don't match up. We want these to match up as best as we can because that's going to be extremely, extremely important for how we work on him. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to select my front view photo. I'm just going to scale him and move him down so that these edges match up as best as I can. I can go a little bit bigger. Let's see, is that too much? Yeah, it was a little bit too much. The more accurate you are with this, the better your model is going to be because your reference photos are going to match up better. So after that, what I'm going to do is I want both these photos to kind of go out of my workspace area because I don't want to have it in the middle. It's going to get in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my front view photo. And as you see right here, that front is on the Z axis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to translate Z, and I'm going to type in -10. And what should happen is it will fly over to the back there. I'm then going to go on my side view, and the side view is on the X axis. So I'm just going to go translate X, type in -10, throw that over there. So now my photos are set up, and we have one last step to do with those. So I'm going to drag a box around the 2 photos so they're both selected, and I'm going to go to my layer editor. So your layer editor is down here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this icon right here. It's a little diamond with a circle, and that's going to create a new layer, and it's also going to add the 2 objects I have selected, so these 2 photos, to that layer. There it is. If you want, you could always go into here and type in whatever it is. So I'm going to type in ref for this. You don't have to, it just keeps things a little organized. So next to your layers, you have 3 boxes. We have this one for visibility. This one, we're not really going to touch that much. We don't really need it. And we have this one for setting it as a reference photo. So I just click on that box until it says R for reference. And what that will do is now if I try to click on these photos or drag boxes around them, it's not going to select them. It's kind of static in there. I can still select them if I do something like that, but we're not going to do that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start modeling B-M0. So let me just close out of this so that doesn't pop up anymore. So like I said, B-M0 is a very simple character to make. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to start by creating a cube. So I'm going to go to Polygon Primitives, Cube, and then for the inputs, I'm going to actually change the subdivisions to about 4 by 4 by 4. That should give me more than enough geometry to at least get the base shape of B-M0. So now that I have that all done, I'm going to start in my front view. So I'll go into my front view just like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on X-ray. So what that will do is it's this icon right here. And what that does is it'll make it somewhat transparent so I can both see B-M0 and my object I'm modeling. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to bring it about halfway down up to his body. And what I'll do is I'm going to scale using the center axis scale tool to kind of get it roughly in the center. And now we can start working on him. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to work on the B-M0 through the vertex mode. And we're going to work on it symmetrically. So whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do the other side. So what I'm going to end up doing is before I even start modeling him, I just want to go over something with selections. We're going to be using a lot of drag selections, which means I'm going to drag a box around something and select them. And while it looks like I only selected these 5 vertices right here, if I go to my perspective view, you can see that I have all those vertices selected. That's very important to kind of keep that in mind, because when you're modeling, you don't want to accidentally change the wrong thing. So if I wanted that one vertex in the front, I don't want to drag a box because it'll drag all of them. I would just want to click on it. And as you can see, only one object is selected, or one vertex is selected. Another thing that you're going to want to pay attention to is if you're scaling, you're not necessarily going to want to use the center scale, because if we look at our perspective view, if I use that center scale, everything goes towards the middle. But for example, if I was trying to scale this, I want to use the x-axis or the z-axis scale, and that'll scale it properly while keeping the correct dimensions on this side. So always good to know. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take this whole object and I'm just going to scale it and move it so it fits B-M0 nicely. So just like that. I am going to probably add more geometry to him later on, but for now this looks good. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to start with his face. So that's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to go to face mode, so I right click, drag to face. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to select these faces right here to kind of go into his face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edit mesh and then extrude, and I'm going to use the center scale for this to kind of scale this inwards and bring it down just to kind of fit to his face. I'm going to zoom in a bit. That was too much. There we go. And as you can see, my photo isn't matching up perfectly. That's going to be okay. We're going to eyeball it a little bit. But this is going to be the general spot for his face. So we'll go right there. I'm going to do another extrusion. You could hit Control or Command E, depending on if you're a Windows or a Mac. Or you could hit G, since it was our last command. So I'm just going to hit G. And I'm just going to use that to push this face back. And that right there is the beginning part of his face. If I look at this and smooth it out, it isn't really fitting too well, but we'll fix that later on. So now that we got that part of his face done, and his body shape, let's go into his side view. I'm going to do the exact same thing as I did before by clicking on the X-ray, so that way we can start shaping out from this side. So I'm just going to select the whole object, so right click, object mode, go to my scale tool. I'm going to use the z-axis scale. I'm just going to scale him in so everything matches up and lines up nicely. That's pretty much all we have to really do for him. Again, B-M0 is a very simple character, so getting all that done is pretty easy. So now that we've got B-M0's general Game Boy-like shape, we can start working on other details like his legs or his arms. But we'll get into that in the next video. So thanks for watching.